as I mentioned in my previous video, I was not able to watch the big NXT special this week live as it was happening because last night that the show was taking place, I was out with friends celebrating a birthday. So I was not able to watch it live. I had to wait until the next night, tonight. I successfully avoided spoilers, and I was very happy that I did. I was very proud of myself that I resisted all urges to read the results and find out what happened, and I specifically told my wrestling fan friends, and I told them, if you spoil anything from the show for me, I will murder you. And half joking, I might add. Only half. I was really excited for the show, and I didn't want to have it spoiled for me, which, I mean, that's pretty amazing to feel that way about a wrestling show. I mean, if this were Fastlane, and I had to miss that, I would just ask somebody the next day. It's like, all right, who won? Because I'm just not completely sold on the main WWE product at this point, so I just don't feel the need to kind of maximize the experience. But with NXT, I'm a big fan of the brand. I love the show. I love the way the show is booked, and I was really excited for the show, so I didn't want to have anything ruined for me. And thankfully, I was able to avoid all spoilers. I just got done watching the show, and I've got plenty to say about it. And first of all, right off the bat, I have to say it again, NXT hit it out of the park once again. Another stellar 2-hour show. These specials that they put on never cease to amaze me. All of them, all the shows that they've done. They did 4 of them last year. All of them were great. They've done 1 so far this year. That's 5 altogether. And it was great. They hit it out of the park. And I think, again, a lot of it is the benefit is they don't do these 2-hour specials all the time. They only do them once every couple of months or so. And you get a lot of slow build-up to these shows. And the payoff is so satisfying. Whereas Raw, trying to fill a 3-hour Raw every week, and then trying to build to a 3-hour pay-per-view once a month, that's taxing, to say the least. To say nothing for 1 hour of Superstars and Main Event each, if you watch those shows. I don't, but if you do, that's more WWE-related content. And a 2-hour SmackDown once a week to build up to that. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of content to fill. And to slow down the storylines appropriately to build up to those big climaxes is very, very hard with all that TV time. And I think NXT does benefit from the fact that they don't get a whole lot of TV time. It's just the 1 hour a week, and then they build to these special shows at some point. It's kind of like the difference between the Saturday night's Main Event and the way it was back in my childhood, and the way it was in the Attitude Era and beyond, where you had a 2-hour Raw every week with quality matches every week. And by quality, I mean superstar versus superstar, like legit names facing each other every week. Whereas when I grew up, you had Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, Primetime Wrestling, which was mostly squash matches. Maybe 1 or 2 real matches if you were lucky. And Hogan almost never wrestled on any of those shows. And then you would build up to the pay-per-views, which was only 4 times a year, and you would build up to the Saturday night's Main Events, which were, those felt like free pay-per-views back in the day, but basically those equate to normal Raw now. That's just, sometimes when you hold back and you don't always give us the big bang and shock, the occasion where you do build to the big bang and the big moments and the big matches, they feel all the more satisfying. And I think that is a major reason for why NXT, why these specials are so good. In addition to the fact that the show's just really well booked, they let the talent shine. Nobody's hindered by bad writing or bad booking, and the talents are just allowed to go out there, be themselves, and do the best they can with what they're given, and they do a fantastic job, for the most part. And the show was no exception. It was a stellar event. I loved it. It was great. Let's get into the specifics. First of all, the opening video package to the show was outstanding, and just a great piece of production by the WWE. And a lot of the video packages for NXT were very good, like the one for Zayn and Owens, and the one for the women's title match, and the one for the number 1 contenders match and everything. Just, their preview packages and everything were very good, and the opener to this pay-per-view was also very good. Speaking of openers, we had the opening match, Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze, a match that was added very late in the process, but there was at least some build-up to it. I read one review that said there was no build-up. I'm like, no, there was build-up. It was, they had the match earlier in the tournament, and Breeze was, observing the tournament as it was going, and then attacked Hideo after he was eliminated. So, I mean, there was a build-up. It's not much of one, but there was something there. And this is actually the reason I wanted this match to be on the show, because I'm like, this show needs an opener, because the women's match is too big, the number one contenders match is too big, and the main event is obviously going to be the closer. So you need like a good, solid opening match to kind of kick the show off. And I felt like this would be the best way to go, because I didn't think Bull and Corbin was going to be it, or the tag match. So thankfully they did add this match, and it was a really good opener. Just a good match. Breeze is awesome. I can't put him over enough. Every time I see him, he's always doing something different or adding something to his character, like the selfie stick. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's just great. The decked out, bedazzled selfie stick, and you had the girl that jumped the rail and tried to like embrace him and stuff, and just great stuff. He's such a great character, and he's such a great performer, and I just love Tyler Breeze. And it's sad because I know when he gets moved up to the main roster, if he ever gets moved up, they're not gonna know what to do with him. He's gonna turn into another Adam Rose or another Bo Dallas, where it's just gonna be a one-note gag. But to me, he's a guy that should be a main eventer in NXT. But whatever. And Hideo, he's really good. I think, there are a lot of question marks around him about whether or not Kenta could adapt to the WWE style. I think he's done really well. I think he looks like a natural out there, and he's just great. And this is his first really big one-on-one match, because he spent so much time working with the Ascension that that was mostly tag matches that he was in. So this was his first, on an NXT special, his first big singles match, and he delivered, and he did fine. That crowd is going to go apeshit if he ever hits the GTS. And I kind of want that to... They're obviously saving it. I think they're going to save it for when he eventually gets a world title match, but which is going to happen at some point. But I just thought this was a really good opener. If it were up to me, Breeze would have gone over, but I'll let it... That's just me picking favorites over who I like more, his characters and his talents. But as it was, I mean, this was a perfectly fine way to open up the show, and it was a good match. Next up was Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin in the no DQ match. It was about as good as it could possibly be, and that's really all I can say about it. Their previous matches, I felt really exposed Corbin. Is like, oh, he really is kind of green, and he's very static in the ring. I mean, there's not a whole lot of movement to him. It kind of reminds me of Batista when he first started out. You thought Batista was immobile before. I mean, look at him very early in his career. He was like, oh my God. Lex Luger was the same way very early in his career. It's just kind of... Yeah, the size is there, but it's not a whole lot of movement, and he just doesn't... He looks kind of awkward. And unfortunately, when they moved him away from the squash matches, and when all he was doing was hitting his finisher, he looked great. But once he started having to do more than that, he just looked kind of clunky out there. And this match hid that a little bit better, because really it was Bull carrying him. But I've said this before, I do like Bull Dempsey. He's got this old school brawler type of look to him that I like and I appreciate, but you're not going to see it on the main WWE show. That's one of the reasons I think he stands out kind of in NXT, but he's kind of just been the sacrificial lamb to Baron Corbin, who I'm just not completely sold on at this point. I think maybe he should have spent a few more months in the Performance Center kind of honing his craft. He even looked a little gassed, and this match didn't go very long, but like I said, it was about as good as it could possibly be. I mean, they protected Corbin enough to where he couldn't fuck up the match too badly, and Bull was allowed to do a lot more because the match was a little longer. I mean, it was about, 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes or so. So it was okay for what it was, and I took it. As a filler match, it was completely fine. It could have not been on the show, and I don't think anybody would have complained, but you got to fill 2 hours, so it was okay for what it was. Next up was the tag title match. The new champions, Blake and Murphy, taking on the Lucha Dragons. This one was a little rough. The Lucha Dragons looked a little off in this match, kind of sloppy, and even Kalisto, who's normally smooth as a motherfucker, and he looked a little off at points here, and I was like, what is going on with these guys? I mean, Blake and Murphy are supposed to be kind of the new guys on the block, and the Lucha Dragons are supposed to be the established guys, and so you would think it would be the Lucha Dragons trying to carry Blake and Murphy, but it looked like it was the other way around, where Blake and Murphy looked like veterans trying to work with new guys, and I don't know what it was, but this match was just clunky to me and just didn't really click. And I don't know. I thought it was the worst match on the show. I mean, that's just me personally. I do like Blake and Murphy, and I like Kalisto. I don't know what was wrong with him tonight, but or last night, I should say. But Blake and Murphy, I think there's a lot of raw potential there, but again, I do think that they put the titles on them way too soon. I think they should have let them find their footing a little bit and maybe push them for a substantial period of time before throwing them out there as the tag champions. I think that was a bit rushed. I personally, looking back on it, I would have put the belts on the Vaudevillains. I love them. I think they're great. I think they're terrific showmen, and I think you could have gotten more entertainment out of them as champions rather than just kind of feeding them to the Lucha Dragons and then having the Lucha Dragons drop the belts to guys that haven't been very well established. I thought the Vaudevillains were very well established at that point, and I would have wanted to see them get the tag titles, but what can you do? Right after this match, Blake and Murphy retained the titles, and right after the match, we got a little teaser for Solomon Crow, I believe it is, who, from what I've been told, I've never seen the guy, but from what I've been told, he was Dean Ambrose's, John Moxley's old tag team partner on the Indies. I never saw him. And he did like a hacker gimmick, which is, I think, a good idea. I have more faith in the gimmick in NXT, again, because their creative is so much better. I mean, again, going back to the Vaudevillains, NXT is the creative team that made the Vaudevillains entertaining and awesome. If they ever go to the main roster, it will suck donkey balls because it'll be a one-note gag and they won't know what to do with it beyond week 2. It's just, I know these things. I just know because I saw what they did to Bo Dallas on the main roster. I mean, Bo Dallas in NXT, he was awesome, but on the main roster, he sucks because it's just the same thing every week. And then they wonder why they don't get over. But anyway, yeah, I thought the intro for him was pretty cool, and look forward to seeing what he does because I've heard some good things about him. So, great. Another great character added to NXT. I'm perfectly on board with that, so let's see where that goes. Then right after this, we got Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville for the #1 contendership, the finals of the big tournament they've been doing, and this match was so awesome. I really, really enjoyed this. And again, it really comes down to the fact that I've really latched on to Finn Balor. I always liked Prince Devitt on the few times that I saw him as Prince Devitt. Always thought he was very good. And when he got to NXT, I was like, this guy's going to be really, really good. If he's allowed to really spread his wings and fly, you're going to see some great things. And he has really taken NXT by storm, and he's one of their most over characters at this point. And him and Neville went out there and had just an awesome match. It was great. I mean, the counters they did, the action, the pacing, it started off slow and then built up bigger and bigger and bigger as it went on. Just great stuff all around. They did that one spot where Neville went for the red arrow and he got his knees up and then rolled him out, which I would have bought as the finish. I thought it was that great of a spot, and they did all sorts of great things all throughout the match. It was just an outstanding wrestling match, and by the end of it, I felt like, yeah, the winner of this match should be the #1 contender, and thankfully, my guy won. They gave it to the right guy. Right guy went over. Finn Balor is now the new #1 contender, which could be very interesting down the road. His entrance, still cool. They tweaked it a little bit to make it a little different from what it was at Our Evolution. Finn Balor's just great. I mean, you look at that guy and you think that guy is marketable as fuck. The body paint is outstanding. The entrance is great. He's got charisma. He's a great athlete, great worker. I mean, the sky's the limit for him, I think. And he's just outstanding. And I was really happy to see him go over here because I felt like he completely deserved it. So great call there, great match. That probably my favorite match on the show. Next up, the women shine once again. It's Charlotte versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch in a four corners match for the NXT Women's Championship, and they went out there and had another really, really good match. Now, would I put it up there as high as like Charlotte and Natalya or Charlotte and Bayley from Fatal 4-Way or Charlotte and Sasha Banks from our Evolution? Probably not, but it's sort of like being the worst Star Wars movie out of the original trilogy. I mean, fuck the prequels, but out of the original trilogy, I mean, it's kind of like being the weakest one out of that bunch. I mean, there really is no bad one, and it really, the weakest out of the original Star Wars trilogy is like a 98%. I mean, there's really, you can't go wrong. It's kind of like being the worst Beatle. I mean, okay, yeah, you're the weakest Beatle, but you're still one of the Beatles, so you're awesome by default. So, I think a large part of it is that I'm not usually a huge fan of multi-man matches, as like, not that I don't like them, but I typically prefer one-on-one matches. So, my preferences just kind of move more towards that. But as a Fatal 4-Way, I mean, they went out there and had this like almost an X Division like match. The way they were flying all over the ring and doing big spots and stuff, and Bayley doing the belly to Bayley off the top rope, and Sasha being a complete badass out there and just being awesome. When she did the spot with Becky and Charlotte where she stacked them both up in the corner and did the knee drop through in the corner, I mean, that was fantastic. That was great. It was just a great action-packed match and just very good, and Sasha won the title, which I think is a very good move. Again, another one of the reasons I prefer one-on-ones as opposed to Fatal 4-Ways, with championship changes, to me it's more satisfying if the title changes hands in a one-on-one situation, and in Fatal 4-Ways it creates a lot of things where, you know, yeah, the champion lost the title but didn't really lose, or some sort of thing like that that's kind of like, that's not as satisfying as it should be, but Sasha beat Charlotte for the title, so I think that kind of erases that, and it's completely fine. I would have liked, and again, being nitpicky here, I would have liked Sasha to get the win with the crossface and make Charlotte tap out, because that would have made my eyes bug. I was like, oh my god, she made Charlotte tap. Holy shit. But doing the roll-up out of the crossface was fine, and that was a good finish. So I'll certainly take it. And I think Sasha is so mean and nasty and so good at playing that character that I think she's going to make a great heel champion for the Divas division. I want to see her versus Bayley for the title. I think that would be great. I think it'd be, you got this awful punk character taking on this lovable underdog. I think it would just write itself. I think it would be great. And that would be a good situation for Bayley to get the belt at some point, because I do want Bayley to get the belt, because she's just adorable. How can you not love Bayley? She's so lovable and so cute, and she's damn good at what she does too. So all of that was very well done. Another very strong women's match on one of these NXT specials, and again, it just goes back to what I keep saying about, you look around the wrestling world and you see what they're doing with women. Even though the execution wasn't all that great, Awesome Kong versus Havoc was one of the highlight matches on Lockdown last week for TNA, and it was the two big monsters, and so the women get to be the monster mash, and that's awesome. It's something different that you normally don't get out of the women. You look at Lucha Underground, you've got Sexy Star and Ivelisse working with the men. That's very progressive, very risky in a lot of ways. Not everybody's going to be accepting of that, but they're pushing the boundaries. They're trying something different, trying something new. You look at NXT, the women are allowed to be a very important factor of the show and have damn good matches that, in a lot of cases, almost steal the show, or do steal the show. They do a fantastic job, and it really just highlights all the problems with the main WWE show and the way they promote their women, where they're just tools to promote a reality show that I personally can't stand. I've watched it twice, and it just made me want to ram my head into a concrete wall, but and that's all they exist for, and the storylines don't make sense. The matches are meaningless because they turn heel and face on a dime. It doesn't really matter. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter how talented they are. It doesn't matter if the fans are buying into them. It doesn't matter. They don't care about putting any kind of effort into their storylines. It's just they're there to promote the reality show, and that's all that matters. And it doesn't matter how hard they work. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Like I said, the Royal Rumble, the tag match that they did at the Royal Rumble was not bad due to lack of effort from the girls. Even the Bellas, who never get any credit, and even I've bashed them from time to time, but they tried. Paige and Natalya tried. It's just that nobody gave a shit because there's no context, there's no story, there's no reasoning behind any of this beyond, oh, well, reality show. and we got to promote that. So really, again, I see matches like this 4-way, and it just makes me go, it's like, WWE, you can have this on your main show. I'm just saying, you can if you want to, and do stuff like this. You'd have to lay the groundwork out and really, because it's going to be very hard for them to have a great women's match again unless they really go all out and try to, build one up proper. I mean, the last good one was, and it sounds crazy, but the last good one I remember seeing was Stephanie versus Brie from SummerSlam, and that was, again, there were some okay matches after that, but again, once they fucked up the whole Bella storyline and they moved into the whole reality show thing, got girls were switching heel face left and right with very little explanation. It just kind of became a mess again, and it's just, oh well, that's all there is to say. But the 4-way, my hats off to those girls. They did an outstanding job once again. And then we get the main event, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, which was a great match. Really reminded me of some of the Sting Vader matches that I loved watching as a kid, where Sting was just this never say die babyface, this energetic underdog that kept fighting and fighting and fighting, and was just up against a bulldozer in this powerhouse that was Vader, and just steamrolled him but he was also this big powerhouse brute, was also a great athlete that would do these flips and stuff. So it had some of that Sting Vader feel to it, and I thought Kevin Owens was great here. I thought Sami Zayn, being the never say die babyface, played his role beautifully, and it was just a hard-hitting smash-mouth match, and there were a couple times where my heart skipped a beat as the match was going on. When they were outside the ring and it looked like Kevin Owens was going to hit the pop-up powerbomb on the ring apron again, I like, oh shit! And just little touches like that were just really, really good. And then when you get into the whole finish where Sami Zayn just got powerbombed into oblivion over and over and over again. It was like I was getting, it's going to sound funny, but I was getting flashbacks to Rocky IV, where Apollo Creed's trainer was like yelling at Rocky. He's like, throw the damn towel! And I was kind of getting that way. It's like, oh my God, will you leave him alone? Look at him, he's suffering so much. Stop it. And again, when Sami Zayn... Again, they just a nice little touch. They did this point where Kevin Owens laid Sami Zayn out, and it looked like Sami was unconscious, and just put his hands on his chest, almost like the Undertaker does out of the Tombstone, but not quite. Put his hands on his chest, and it looked like that was going to be the pin. And then Sami Zayn just very weakly just kind of rolled over to kick out of the pin. Not even kick out, he just kind of rolled over, and that was like, oh, he's trying, but he's still getting destroyed, and I wish he'd just stay down so he wouldn't get hurt no more. And again, just beautifully done, and just a lot of great touches like that made it just such a great main event. Not in the same way that Neville and Zayn was from our Evolution, where that one felt like this satisfying payoff to this long, long build-up, and was just like a WrestleMania-worthy, satisfactory ending. This match was more of a downer. This one was kind of like, in a good way, this one was kind of like, oh, the good guy got destroyed. And, of course, on commentary, they made comparisons to Lesnar and Cena from SummerSlam. It wasn't quite like that, but Sami Zayn got a lot more offense than Cena did in that match. But, it was kind of cut from that same cloth, where just kind of this hopelessness to it, where it's like, oh my God, Sami just got utterly destroyed and just got powerbombed. I mean, and this is one of the things where I miss Howard Finkel, where if this had happened while Howard Finkel was a ring announcer, you would have gotten something like, the referee calls for the bell while Sami Zayn looks like he's knocked out, and Kevin Owens starts complaining what's going on? And the crowd even started to react, because I think they thought Kevin Owens got DQ'd. And this is where Howard Finkel would have been great with it. I mean, again, go back and watch Royal Rumble 91 and watch the way Howard Finkel calls the title change between Sergeant Slaughter and the Ultimate Warrior. Beautiful, fantastic. It was great, very well done. If Howard were the ring announcer here, he would have called it like, the referee has elected to stop the match due to Sami Zayn's injuries and blah, blah, blah. Therefore, the winner of the match, pause, and no! And then the crowd would have reacted any way that they wanted to, because there were Kevin Owens fans in the crowd. There were a lot of Sami Zayn fans in the crowd. It was very split. But to me, again, I like Kevin Owens as a heel, and I love Sami Zayn as a face, so naturally I was rooting for Zayn, because that's the type of story that I was sucked into. And yeah, but it was just a very good match, a very good ending, and again, very downer ending, but in a very good way, like an Empire Strikes Back type of way. Which, speaking of that, I keep talking about Star Wars. I have to say, last weekend I rewatched the unaltered original trilogy, and I have to say, George Lucas, I really don't want to hate you. I really, really don't. But fuck. I have not seen the unaltered trilogy in years, and going back and watching it, I was like, oh, dude, why did you change that? Why did you change this? But anyway, sidetrack. I would love for the original unaltered trilogy to get an official Blu-ray release. I would appreciate that very much. But anyway, this match was great. It was a downer ending. It was good in that Empire Strikes Back type of way, but not in a bad downer way, like in a Royal Rumble type of way, Royal Rumble 2015 type of way, where it was like the story was stupid and we just hated it. No, this was like, oh my god, what happens now? That this brute just beat the hell out of his former best friend and now he's the world champion. It's like, oh god, what happens to NXT now? Well, one thing we got to look forward to, we got Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens for the title. Yay, I'm down for that. I just realized I'm kind of dressed like Kevin Owens. That's just weird, but I didn't do that on purpose, but anyway, yeah, I thought NXT was stellar. It was great. It was wonderful. I loved it. Made my week as a wrestling fan. Just another great special from him, and it was great. It was wonderful, and I loved it. Other wrestling things, I did catch Lucha Underground this week. Very good episode. They debuted Alberto Del Rio, now going by Alberto El Patron. I know I probably butchered the accent there, but his debut was very good. He really spoke from the heart when he came out at the end and really gave a killer promo. And he just sounded very natural, very like he believed every word he said, and just very and that was one of the things I felt hindered him in the WWE, where he felt like he was just playing the character that they wanted him to play, and maybe now that those shackles are off of him, he can kind of come up with his own stuff and be his own man. And so far, so good. And again, this is coming from somebody that was never a big fan of Alberto, but like I said, so far, so good here. And you got a couple of good matches, good character builders. You got the Mundo and King Cuerno feud continuing to build. They're bringing in... they continue to bring in more guys. Phoenix is having this ongoing thing with Katrina, and Mil Muertes had this awesome backstage segment where, again, the cinematography and the camera work and the way they produce those segments are so well written and so well shot and so well done that it's so easy to accept. And I get the feelings like this is what WWE wants to be with their backstage segments, but they fail miserably. And it's just, it just works. I think with Lucha Underground it works. Because, again, the presentation is very much, the wrestling show is a show within a show. And it's not meant to be like a live sporting event happening in real time. So they get away with a lot of those things. But it's all very, very, even Big Rick, Ezekiel Jackson. I had an awesome return video package that was amazing. I was like, holy shit, that was cool. I'm actually excited to see Ezekiel Jackson again. They just do so many great things on the show. It's just remarkable. It really is. And Lucha Underground, and I'm looking at this right now. You know, I've got NXT, I've got Lucha Underground, and I've got New Japan. I've got 3 wrestling shows, 3 brands that I legitimately enjoy quite a lot. So to me, it's like, I mean, can I really be mad as a wrestling fan? I'm happy. I have 3 products that I really enjoy. I mean, I can sit on here and I can bitch about WWE's main show, and Lord knows I say plenty, and I can bitch about TNA, but at the end of the day, I've got 3 options that I really, really like. So, I mean, that's all well and good. I should note, speaking of New Japan, I have not had a chance to watch A New Beginning yet because, again, I was out the whole day that the show was done. But I did subscribe to New Japan World. I'm at least going to keep it for the free month. I'm having trouble navigating it because, again, it's not in English, it's in Japanese, and for some reason my Google Translator isn't working with the site, so I'm having some trouble navigating it. But as is, you know, it's I haven't had a chance to watch New Beginning yet, but again, I have avoided spoilers. Thank God. Nobody fucked that up for me. Nobody. I will hurt you. I will. I promise you, I will hurt you. But I have avoided spoilers, and I am going to try and get it done this weekend. I will review both shows. And have a video on that. Both New Beginning shows, I should say. I'll have a video up either Sunday or Monday talking about that. So hopefully those shows deliver. Again, there's a lot of matches I'm looking forward to. I want to see Tanahashi and Styles, even though the match has already happened, and I'm keeping myself in the dark in regards to who won. But yeah, I'm looking forward to eventually seeing those, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good way to close out my week as a wrestling fan. And among the other TV shows that I'm watching, I haven't had a chance to watch Better Call Saul yet, but I hear it's great. People have raved about it to me. One show I will recommend to you, Agent Carter. For you Marvel fans out there, I think Agent Carter is very good. And this is coming from somebody, I like those 1940s period piece type of things and type of settings, and I think this show just does a great job with it, and it's just a great like spy mystery / action / adventure show, and I think it's really, really good. And the actress Haley Atwell playing Peggy Carter, she does a fantastic job, and her interactions with Howard Stark and with Jarvis and all this other stuff are all just really good. It's just a very entertaining show. It might be, when I look at all the comic book shows that are out there, like Gotham and Arrow and Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Walking Dead, which that show might be dead to me. Yeah, that show, it's amazing how bad it's gotten. But and no, I did not like the return episode that they did this week. But which I'm not even going to bother ranting about it again. I think I might just quit on the show altogether. But out of all the comic book related shows out there now, I think Agent Carter might be the best one. I just really enjoy it. But anyway, I'm gone off on so many tangents here. It's done. Anyway, NXT, fantastic show. New Japan. I will watch both New Beginning shows sometime this weekend, and I will have reviews up either Sunday or Monday. So that will be the next video. Stay tuned for that. That is all I have for now. NXT kicks ass. I love it. It's wonderful. Hope you all enjoyed it as well. Everybody seems to be raving about it, so as you should. It was great. But that is all I have for now. Y'all enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all later.